All right, today we're diving into a place that isn't just a building, it's the actual spiritual heart of a massive city. We're talking about the Kalighat Temple in Kolkata, a place with a history so powerful it literally shaped the city that grew up around it.
I mean, just stop and think about that for a second. What does it take for one single spot to become so important, so central to a people's identity, that a megacity like Calcutta ends up being named after it? That's a connection you just don't see every day.
Well, for Kalighat, the answer isn't about trade or kings or battles. Nope. The story, the power, it all begins with a goddess and a myth that goes right back to the creation of the cosmos.
To really get what this temple is all about, we first have to understand the ground it stands on. And to do that, we need to explore this ancient, epic story, the story of the Shakti Pithas.
Okay, so the legend here is pure cosmic drama. It starts with the goddess Sati, who tragically takes her own life after her father disrespects her husband, the great Lord Shiva. Shiva is so consumed by grief that he begins this dance of destruction across the universe, carrying her body, and his grief is so immense it starts to tear the fabric of reality apart. To stop everything from collapsing, Lord Vishnu has to step in. He uses his celestial weapon to dismember Sati's body, and the different places where her remains fell, well, they became forever charged with divine, sacred energy.
And these spots, they have a name. They're called Shakti Pithas. There are 51 of them in total, and each one is a major pilgrimage site, a place where that divine feminine energy, known as Shakti, is just incredibly potent.
So what about Kalighat? Well, this is what makes it so profoundly holy. The myth says that this exact spot is where the right toe of the goddess Sati landed. Think about that. One single event from the dawn of time is the source of all the temple's power.
Okay, so you have this incredibly powerful myth, but how does that turn into a physical temple? Let's track its journey from, believe it or not, a little hut by a river, all the way to a symbol for an entire nation.
The history of the building itself is really fascinating. People have been worshipping here for centuries, and for a long time it was just a humble little shrine. But then, in 1809, this really powerful local family, the Sabharnata Roy Chowdhuries, built the grand temple that we see today. And by the 1800s, it had become something even more, a spiritual gathering place for Bengali nationalism against the British.
And this is where faith and politics get tangled up in a really powerful way. During India's freedom struggle, the fierce goddess Kali was seen as the perfect symbol for the kind of power needed to destroy the evil of colonial rule. The temple wasn't just a place of worship anymore, it was a center of spiritual resistance.
So let's step inside the temple complex now and actually meet the goddess at the heart of this whole story.
The idol of Kali you'll find here is totally unique. It's carved from a single piece of black stone. And look at the details. 3 huge, expressive eyes that are said to see the past, present, and future. 4 powerful hands, holding symbols of both creation and destruction. And that famous tongue sticking out, it's made of solid gold. It's an image that just radiates raw, untamable power.
This brings up a really beautiful contrast. You know, a lot of people see Kali as this terrifying, fierce destroyer of evil. But in Bengal, she is worshipped as Ma, as the mother. She's seen as a protector, a liberator, a nurturing mother who fiercely loves and defends her children.
And the experience at Kalighat doesn't end with the main shrine. Right nearby, there's a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva in his form as Nakaleshwar Bhairav, who is considered the guardian of this sacred site. There's also the Kundupukur, a holy water tank where the water is believed to be blessed with healing powers.
But the temple's influence, it just radiates outwards. It doesn't stay within the walls. It's woven itself into the cultural heartbeat and the very identity of the city itself.
And this is it. This brings us right back to that question from the beginning. The connection is as direct as it gets. The name of the city, Kolkata, is widely believed to come directly from the name of this temple, Kalighat. It didn't just influence the city, it gave the city its name. This incredible influence also lit a fire under a whole new artistic movement. The temple became the center of a style of painting that was so much more than just religious art. It was a way for people to have a voice.
They're the famous Kalighat paintings. And what made them so revolutionary was that, yeah, they painted gods and goddesses, but they also used their art to poke fun at the new colonial society. This was bold, cheap art for everyday people, and it made sharp social commentary on the changing times. It was literally art as a form of protest, born right on the temple's doorstep.
So, after all this myth, all this history, all this culture,
What's it actually like to go and experience this place for yourself? Let's get into a quick practical guide.
Okay, if you're planning a visit, here's what you need to know. Entry is completely free, which is amazing. But the real pro tip, go early. And I mean really early, like between 5 and 8 in the morning. That's your best shot to experience the incredible spiritual vibe before the huge crowds show up. It's in South Kolkata and super easy to get to from the Kalighat metro station.
You know, when it comes down to it, Kalighat is so much more than some static historical monument. It's a living, breathing, pulsating heart of faith and culture that is still very much alive today.
And that leaves us with one final big question to chew on. When you look at a place like this, you have to ask, is a temple just a pile of stones, or is it something more? Something like the living, breathing story of a city's soul. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.